Chapter 13. Revelation after the chaos. The warriors barely had time to catch their breath. The air was still charged with Gravek's scattered dark energy, floating like invisible ash. Piccolo eyed the air warily, feeling that this was only the prelude to something worse. But Gravek's breathing was now a ragged wheeze and his chest barely rose. His ki fluctuated erratically, fading more by the second. Goku hardened his gaze, without taking it off Gravek. If we leave him like this, he'll die. Piccolo, give me a Senzubin. Piccolo looked at him with surprise. Are you sure? I just need him to talk, said Goku calmly. Piccolo hesitated a second, and finally nodded. He took out a Senzu and threw it. Goku caught it and held it out to Gravek. Here, this will heal you. Gravek took it with trembling hands, looking at it with suspicion. What is this? He managed to murmur. Just eat it, replied Piccolo firmly. Gravek chewed it. A warm glow flowed through his veins, the hemorrhaging stopped and the trembling ceased. Ki surged again inside him, pulling him back from the edge of death. Impossible, he gasped, patting his chest. What kind of magic is this? Gotenks observed him seriously. It's a Senzu bean. Now start talking. Goku, looking serious, turned to Supreme Kai and Kibito. That man was completely out of his mind. His energy emanated a darkness that wasn't natural. Supreme Kai nodded in silence, sharing Goku's concern, while Kibito watched Gravek with suspicion. I remember almost nothing, mused Gravek, trying to gather his thoughts. Only flashes, dark urges to destroy everything, an endless void. I don't know if we should trust him, grunted Gotenks. Piccolo nodded, although his eyes revealed doubt. Maybe, but if he is telling the truth, we can't ignore it. That power wasn't his. It seems he was corrupted, manipulated, just like the warriors who accompanied him. The word manipulated struck a nerve in Gravek. His pupils, lost until then, focused suddenly with horror. He looked at his hands and was overcome with remorse. I was the monster. I don't remember clearly, but the flashes, the devastation I caused, I turned them into weapons. I only sought vengeance for my people, and I became what I swore to destroy. He lowered his gaze, his voice broken. My people, my home, were annihilated by a killer. I only wanted justice, strength to avenge them. Goku softened his tone. Don't put all the blame on yourself. You were corrupted. Your energy isn't the same anymore. Someone used you. But who really? And why? Goku kept silent for a second and looked knowingly at Supreme Kai. Anyway, that corrupted energy we sensed near Hell's entrance is way too similar. Piccolo leaned in. Hell? Supreme Kai nodded gravely. Yes. From what we've found out, it could be an enemy from ancient times. Hell has also been attacked by beings with similar energy. They managed to escape with several canisters of the dark energy that is extracted from souls. This is part of something bigger. Gravek closed his eyes, piecing it all together. Slowly, he stood up, staggering for an instant before recovering his balance completely. His face shifted between anguish and a new fury, directed finally toward his oppressor. He called himself Eldrin. I met him on planet Volium only a few months ago. He seemed weak, but he promised me power in exchange for serving him. He said he had been unjustly imprisoned in the White Dimension and that he freed himself 15 years ago. Gotenks' eyes went wide. 15 years? Exactly when Buu was beaten. Piccolo frowned. And when the rifts were torn in the hyperbolic time chamber, the White Dimension. The air became heavy over the group. Every revelation clicked into place with a sinister echo in their memories, like pieces of a puzzle that finally revealed an enemy much larger than they imagined. Goku broke the silence, confused. Hold on, how does someone from another planet know about the hyperbolic time chamber? Piccolo turned to him. We've discovered that dimension is actually a massive network of portals. Someone from this planet managed to reach Earth looking for help. That's how we got here. Goku rubbed the back of his head, surprised by what he'd just heard. Wow, I always figured that chamber was the size of a planet, but it's way bigger than I thought. Gravek raised his eyes with a mixture of horror and a growing sensation of betrayal. At first, I had my doubts. Mind control is innate in my race, but it was always a defensive weapon. I knew that abusing that technique could drag me into madness. Eldrin convinced me that he would use it only against evil beings. He promised he would help me contain its effects, and I, blinded by vengeance, accepted. His hands trembled. The weight of his memories fell upon him like a judgment. I was a bounty hunter, the best in my galaxy, but my work made me some dangerous enemies. One of them, seeking revenge, razed my village and slaughtered my people. With the dark power Eldrin granted me, I managed to take down that killer, but that victory became my shackles. I felt indebted. It was then that everything went wrong. Before long, obedience turned into addiction. There was something about that dark energy, something that fed on my very essence. After that, I didn't hesitate to subjugate even the innocent. So that's it, Piccolo deduced, folding his arms. Eldrin corrupted you and the others through that energy. At that moment, a flash of light engulfed Gotenks, cutting him off. It can't be, the Namekian exclaimed, his expression hardening. The fusion wore off, and in its place appeared Goten and Trunks, confused. The usual time of the technique hadn't run out yet. I don't understand. We hadn't spent enough ki to exhaust it so quickly. Right, Piccolo? Asked Goten, confused. The Namekian observed him gravely, with Gravek's words still resonating in his mind. We know that if too much energy is consumed, the fusion limit is cut short. But in this case, you only used Super Saiyan. This must be due to the suppression. Goku nodded, crossing his arms. It really is a dangerous technique. Gravek closed his eyes, as if the images still tormented him. Eldrin needed fear, dark energy. With every conquered planet, with every terrified soul, he grew stronger, recovering his ancient power little by little. I released chaos, and afterward, we collected the dark energy with his devices. After every mission, he imbued me with more power, and also the captured warriors who went on to swell his army. Each one received their own ship. Every conquest was faster, more brutal. Piccolo looked at him with disbelief. Getting stronger from fear and horror? How is that possible? Gravek lowered his gaze. Eldrin can manipulate the energy born from fear and despair. I don't understand how he does it either. The silence weighed for a few seconds. That type of power resembled nothing they had faced before. Gravek took a deep breath and continued. Some of those warriors are still out there, divided into two groups. Their leaders possess power close to mine and can also use Eldrin's arcane suppression technique. But they don't have my innate gift of manipulating minds. Their locations must be in the databases of our ships, in the white dimension. Right now, they must be attacking other worlds, slaughtering innocents. Piccolo clenched his jaw. Then this is far from over. If those soldiers attack worlds without defense, the chaos will be even greater than here. Goku nodded grimly. And all to increase that Eldrin's power. A brief silence fell while everyone assimilated his words. Trunks interrupted it. Is there a possibility that any of those soldiers could lose control like you? Gravek lowered his gaze and then shook his head slowly. No, That state is very rare among my race, but it can appear in conditions of stress when someone misuses our gift of mind control. The dark energy fueled it, dragging me into that savage fury. The urgency in his voice was clear, even in his weakness. You must stop them. It is the only way. And even so, I fear that what Eldrin plans surpasses everything we can imagine. Piccolo, in silence, let those words sink in for everyone. Then, with his gaze fixed on him, he asked, "In your ship's nav system, the portal to Earth was flagged as restricted. It warned that extremely powerful beings were there. Did he tell you when that restriction would end?" Gravek, still with shame and confusion in his gaze, shook his head. "No. He only ordered us to avoid that portal. Your planet wasn't a target for a simple energy collection. He had other plans. Plans that required waiting for the exact moment." Goku spoke with deep seriousness. "So, Eldrin wasn't just watching us. He was studying us. He was waiting for his opportunity to deal the final blow. But for what purpose?" Silence loomed over the group, charged with the gravity of the revelations. Eldrin's threat was much greater than they imagined. It was then that several of the liberated Dark Soldiers, those who had initially appeared on Toria together with Gravek, approached with visible discomfort. Their gazes reflected shame and confusion. One of them took a step forward. "We cannot return to our worlds," he said with a deep voice. "And after everything we did, we don't want to run away. We want to stay here and help repair what we destroyed." Halira observed him in silence for a few moments, and then nodded slowly. "If that is so, you will be welcome, but it will be a long road." "We know," replied another firmly. "It's the least we can do." Goku showed a satisfied expression. "I'm glad to hear it. It won't be easy, but this time you will do it of your own free will." And preparing to use instant transmission, he added, "Well then, let's go." Halira took a step forward. Her shoulders were erect, but a contained pain burned in her eyes. "I guess this is where we part ways," Halira said, her voice firm. "Toria must be rebuilt. My place is here, with my people." Milana, Ruisil, and Gavir stepped to her side without hesitation. "You won't be alone, Halira. We'll work together until Toria rises once more," Milana said. Piccolo watched the scene in silence, recognizing their resolve. Goku turned to Gravek. "You know Eldrin better than anyone, and we're going to need all the possible information to stop him." Gravek nodded. "I will do whatever it takes to stop him." Goku took a deep breath and placed 2 fingers on his forehead. "Right. It's time to go." The tension loosened for an instant, as if that phrase were the breaking point between what they were leaving behind and what was to come. Goten looked at Halira with a half-smile of confidence. "Don't worry, we'll make it. And when it's all over, your planet and all the others will return to normal." Trunks, just before they vanished via instant transmission, added in a quick murmur, "You'll see." The group vanished, leaving her with the echo of those words. Halira closed her eyes for an instant and let out a trembling sigh, forming a faint smile of gratitude. "Thank you." Meanwhile, on the distant planet Voliom, an imposing figure could be glimpsed again in the shadows. With a powerful and deliberate gesture, he summoned 2 swords in his hands. An unsettling shine emanated from one of them as he raised it, charged with an ominous purpose, unleashing a power forgotten by time.